Hello, welcome to Beloved Ministries. Today we're going to talk about marriages and the Abrahamic blessing. First, as you know, as all saints know, Father Abraham is said to be the father of many nations. This includes Jews, Muslims, and even pagans. God beforehand justified Father Abraham and made him to be the father of many nations. And the scriptures, Galatians 3, said that the scripture saw beforehand that God would justify the heathen, and so beforehand preached the gospel unto Father Abraham. And when we look at our customs as Nigerians, we can see this to be true. There are many customs that we do, things that we do that we don't really know where it came from. But when we search the scriptures, whether holy Christian scriptures or Jewish scriptures, we see that our customs are built in Father Abraham. One such custom is, of course, marriages. And we are in springtime now, early spring. It is the season for marriages. I think you might be interested in this broadcast today. Did you know that, as in Jewish marriages, Nigerian marriages consist of two stages of marriages? The first stage of the marriage is the engagement or betrothal. The second stage is the wedding ceremony, either in a church or a registry. Now, when a man is ready to get married, there are steps that he needs to take. And the first one, of course, being letting the woman know that he's ready to marry her. The second stage is writing a letter of intention of marriage, to the woman's parents or family. And then they respond back and say, yes, it's acceptable. And then it goes to the first stage of proper marriage, which is the engagement or betrothal. And then after that, there's the last stage of marriage, which is the actual wedding ceremony in a church or registry. In the engagement or betrothal, as I've stated, is the first stage of marriage proper. And as Nigerians, we see our customs of engagement where the man brings in, the required items, and the dowry, the money for the bride, the money for the people of the house, the suitcase of clothes, the food, the Bible, etc., etc. These are all rooted in Jewish marriage customs. Now, typically under Judaism, when a man has gotten to that stage, he takes the rabbi or the holy man, and they agree on the things that he will be doing in the marriage. These are what the gifts are in our custom. For instance, he will promise to be bringing food. That's what the food stuff is. The sugar, the yams, the palm oil, the oil, the plantain, the minerals. These are things that are covenanted to be given to the wife during the marriage. Also in the list of gifts, he would bring in stuff such as clothing and money for the bride, not only for the bride's father, but also for the bride and for the household of the bride. These are covenantal items that the man is covenanting to be doing once the second stage of the marriage has taken place. During this stage of betrothal, say for instance, the man has made this first stage oath of saying, okay, he's going to take this woman as his own, and he's brought all these gifts. Say at this stage of the betrothal, the man finds that the woman goes off and, sleeps with somebody. Because they're still considered to be singles at the betrothal stage, that man can break off that betrothal and any further marriage commitments. This, say Jewish scholars, is what Jesus Christ was talking about in Matthew 5 verse 32. In Matthew 5 verse 32, Jesus Christ said, except for the sake of fornication, any man that divorces his wife and remarries causes her to sin. And that sin will be upon the man, the head of the man, not upon the woman. We know from scriptures and from training, like in 1 Corinthians, Paul says that fornication is a sexual transgression done by singles never been married. What married couples do or what their sexual transgression is called is known as adultery. It's not fornication. So at this stage, if a woman that's betrothed to a man goes and sleeps with somebody else, see perhaps her old boyfriend comes on the scene, the man is free to break it. He's free to take back all the gifts. He's free to break any and further commitments to the marriage. This was what was going to happen to Mary by Joseph. When Joseph found out that she was pregnant, he thought that she had been unfaithful, and under Jewish customs, he needed to have filed a divorce. It's known as a get. It's called a get in Judaism. That is the only decree nisi and the divorce that's allowed under grace. Anyway, assuming that both couples get on fine, there's no need to break the marital oath or the betrothal oath, both couples can go to the next stage of the ceremony, which is the church wedding or registry wedding. Once they've completed this stage, there's no backing out. It's till death do you part. At the church or registry ceremony, the registrars or the church must notify the public. They must announce it that there's going to be a marriage union taking place between X, Y, and Z, between X and Y, on a certain date. This is, of course, allowed by God. It is given, and it's a must, a requirement that must be done, because they need to know, the congregations need to know, to come to the church or registry, that these people are getting married, and they need to voice their objections if there is any legal objections. Legal being, going against the things that God has ordered. God, for instance, has ordered that, a divorcee cannot remarry. And those that commit fornication, those that violate the conditions of their betrothal, cannot go down the aisle further. So it's for this purpose that the announcements must be made. Once we've overcome that, and the announcement's made, and there's no need to break the betrothal or the further commitments to marriage, the couples then go down the aisle and get married. At this stage, it is important to know that this last stage of where marital vows are exchanged, it's permanent. God, in his grace, under grace, does not allow divorce and remarriage. Jesus Christ stated it. He came to restore what Satan took in the garden. And part of that restoration process is not to allow divorce and remarriage. When the Pharisees tempted him, he stated, this wasn't God's design to have divorce and remarriage. Moses was the one that allowed it. He's not Moses. He's greater than Moses, and he's not going to allow it. So in going down the aisle, it is important to have this in mind, to know that there's no exit. This thing has got to work.